Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Extreme Chomping Spinosaurus. And I gotta be honest, it feels really weird owning this figure. Like, not this figure specifically, but owning like a Spinosaurus mold from Mattel. Not because I'm more of a T-Rex guy myself, which, believe me, I am. I like the Spinosaurus, don't get me wrong, but I just like the T-Rex a lot more. But the reason why I think it's weird, like, it feels weird owning this figure, like, it feels weird, but it feels very satisfying at the same time, because this figure had a very rough history, you know. So, all the way back in 2018, when Mattel first released their Jurassic World toy line, like, that summer, they released the Legacy Collection Extreme Chomping Spinosaurus. You know, there are 3 different versions of this, and that one was the first one. It was more gray, it didn't look as nice as this, so yeah, it still didn't look bad, but to me this just looks nicer. So yeah, that figure came out, and a lot of people bought it. Except no, not a lot of people bought it. Only people in the UK bought it because it was only available in the UK. It wasn't available in, like, you know, Canada or America or anything like that. So I unfortunately wasn't able to get it. To be fair, at the time I wasn't really interested in getting it, but you know, for like, it was still frustrating because, like, I know damn well there are other people in this country who really would have wanted it, but instead that figure only came out in the UK. So of course I don't have it, and if you want to buy it, you're gonna have to pay prices between like 140 and like 160, I think. It's not cheap to buy that figure now if you're an American. So yeah, that kind of sucks. But then in like fall of 2019, they released a battle damage variant, which had a very not appealing like blue color scheme. I didn't like it at all. I didn't like how it looked, but I still wanted to look at it just to see what it was like. I was never able to find it, of course, because it was like very plentiful in Walmart for a while. But then, like, actually no, not a while. It was very plentiful, but like not for long. It sold out quickly. So now it goes for like $80 to like $100. Again, very expensive. Do not buy any of these for that kind of money. And then there's like this little like basic figure, but that's also really expensive for some reason. Now we get to this thing, which, granted, this figure isn't really too common in America, like as of yet, you know. So basically, it was in Canada for a little bit, which was great. It was very plentiful there, but here in America, I've only seen one in the wild, and you're looking at it. You know, every Target I go to, every Walmart, every store I go to, they do not have this thing whatsoever. You know, maybe it's just my region, maybe I'm just unlucky, but like, this was like the only one I was able to find. So when I saw it sitting there, I was with my friend because we were hanging out. We went out in the town that night. It was really fun. But we walked into Walmart. We're looking at the figures. I saw this. This is really dorky. I got so excited, I literally ran to this figure and picked it up. Because I just have a feeling that this figure is going to suffer the same fate as the other Spinosaur figures. So, here we are. So that's why it feels weird owning this figure. You know, a Mattel Spinosaurus figure. It was bound to happen, but 3 years, 3 years for us to have, like, an actual release of the Spinosaurus. And even then, I don't think this figure is gonna, you know, stick around for too long. But that's just me. Hopefully I'm wrong, you know. So for all you people who don't have this figure and want it, and if you do find it, definitely go for it. But I'll talk more about that towards the end. So yeah, that's the bizarre and very complicated history with this mold. Now that I actually have it, is it any good? Well, let's take a look. So first, we'll take a look at the paint. And the painting on this figure is actually really nice. In fact, out of the 3 Spinosaur figures that there are, I think this one has the nicer paint scheme. You know, it looks more accurate to how it looked in Jurassic Park 3. But, yeah, the upper jaw here, we have a bit of red. We have this really cool, like, marking throughout, which I like a lot. And even on the sail, too, it looks great. The eyes are painted orange with black slits for the eyes. Even though I'm fairly certain the Spinosaurus had, like, regular pupils, but it's whatever. Also, the Spinosaurus had green eyes. I know the original Legacy collection had green eyes, but this one has orange eyes, which, a little upsetting, but honestly, not the end of the world. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. So, yeah. Of course, on the back here, we have a very dark shade of gray. We have a little bit of red on the top of the spine right here. The underside of the figure is, or at least the underside of like the neck and everything, that's a creamish color. It doesn't continue throughout the body at all, which is very disappointing, but it's whatever. And of course, here we have the Jurassic World logo and the scan code right here. We'll talk about that in a second. And of course, the inside of the mouth is painted a salmon color, which looks nice. And the teeth are painted a whitish yellowish color. So, yeah. Anyway, that is about it. Or, no, the toenails are painted gray. Forgot that. But anyway, that is pretty much it for the painting on this figure. And the painting on this figure isn't too bad. Again, there are some things I do differently, but it's a Mattel figure. Usually they skimp out on the paint, so honestly, at this point, I'm just numb to it. It's still worth pointing out, though, but it doesn't bother me as much anymore. So, yeah. So, the painting on this figure, not bad, but, you know, not great either. So, I'd say it gets 3/4 of a pass. You know, a little more would have been nice, but, you know, for what it is, it's still not bad. It's still good, but not a perfect full pass. So, yeah. Anyway, now we'll take a look at the articulation. And the articulation on this figure is alright, considering. The tail is on a ball joint, a very loose ball joint, but we'll talk about that later when we talk about the sculpt, because I do have something I want to say about that. The legs can do a 360. The arms can move forwards this much and backwards this much. This is a very big figure, and I'm just trying to like keep it in frame, so I apologize if like this looks weird, because it feels awkward to like try to film. So just kind of bear with me. The ankles have swivels, of course, to fit in the box. There's a button in the back of the head here that makes his mouth open, which is cool, just like the Extreme Chomping T-Rex. And then we have some joints in the neck, and yeah, that hurts. That really hurts my ears. That is like, I don't like that. I know with the, what's it called? The Primal Attack Extreme Chomping T-Rex had that same issue, but I feel like it's worse here, because it's a lot louder, and it's a lot more, like, unbearable, so it's just kind of like, I don't like it. I don't like it. They really need to fix the squeakiness of their figures. Oh, that's not good. I don't like that at all. But, yeah. Other than that, that's pretty much it for the articulation. And it's not bad, you know, it's pretty much the same as the Extreme Chomping T-Rex, but I'm gonna have to knock it down a point because of this squeaky hell. Not a big fan of that at all, so yeah, the articulation on this figure is good, but not perfect, so I'll give it 3/4 of a pass. Again, I would give it a full pass, but no thanks. So, 3/4 of a pass. Now we'll take a look at the sculpt, and the sculpting on this figure is, it's really weird. The sculpting here is very weird. I think, you know, the front half looks really nice, you know, the front half looks really nice, but then you get to the back half, I think the legs are way too big, you know, especially the feet. They just look like enormous. And I feel like it wouldn't be so bad if the tail and spine weren't so small. I mean, look at that spine. Look at that. That is like, that is very small, you know. Like, in the movie, of course, it was a lot bigger. In fact, the body itself is actually a lot smaller than the spine. But here it's the opposite. So, it definitely looks kind of weird. But also, the tail here. So, this figure has a very short tail. But actually, this figure, or not this figure specifically, but the original Legacy Collection Spinosaurus figure is when I realized that these Mattel figures have very short tails. I remember the Gaming Beaver, he uploaded his review of the Legacy Collection Extreme Chomping Spinosaurus, and he pointed out that the tail was very short. And I thought, it is short, and it does look really weird and bad, and I'm not a big fan of that. So then sure enough, I look at my other Jurassic World figures by Mattel, and most of them have very short tails. So this is the figure that kind of showed me that, yeah, Mattel has a problem with making good-sized tails. Some might say, oh, it has to be small, because, like, you know, if it's too long, the figure's not going to stand right. But the thing is, this figure is very front heavy. Like, this figure is literally just standing on its, like, toes. You can't really see it. But, like, all of, like, everything here is overweighing what's back here. So, yeah, kind of like that. So, over time, I feel like this figure is just going to, like, fall over. Because you can see it's just barely balancing right now. And it still stands fine. But, like, one little knock, and it's just, like, that thing's falling over. So again, a bigger tail would have been nice. And some of you might say, "Oh, well, just if the tail's too big, then it's not going to be able to hold it, the ball joint." But why is there a ball joint here? Like, just make it a swivel. Just make it a swivel that you have to like just snap on, and it just swivels. I don't get why it has to be this ball joint. Because if this is the reason why the tails are short, then honestly, I'd rather not have a ball joint here at all. So, yeah. The tail here very short, and just overall the proportions on this figure, they're not great, not terrible by any means. There are still some things I like. I think the head sculpt looks really nice, and like this, like it looks nice, but at the same time, it doesn't look perfect. If you get what I'm trying to say here, so yeah, the sculpting on this figure, I don't know. I think I'd give it like. I think I'll give it like half a pass, because, this front half is really nice, but then this back half just looks kind of weird. Very short tail, very like huge legs, a lot bigger than how they looked in the movie, and just a really small and like pathetic looking spine. So, yeah, the sculpting on this figure, not perfect. So, if I gotta be honest, I gotta give the sculpting here like a half a pass. So, yeah. Anyway, now we'll take a look at the detailing, and the detailing on this figure is actually really nice, so let's take a closer look. Oh, I hate that. I hate that so much. Yeah, so basically, the detailing for the head here looks very nice. All the creases and scales and everything like that are very beautifully defined, especially in the head here. It just looks really nice. I love how this looks. The teeth, I think, look a little too big, but not the end of the world. And of course, we have some more scaling and like creases and everything like that on the side of the body here, or side of the neck here. And even on the side of the body, we have like some detailing here, which looks nice. All the scaling is just really nice. I feel like the scales here look a little too big, but that's just me. But even in the arms here, we have a very nice amount of musculature and everything like that, which just looks great. I love how the arms look on this figure. The detailing for the legs here, again, a lot of very nice musculature, and all the scaling. Even though the scales are too big, they are still detailed very nicely. And even the feet here, the bit of scales there, which again looks really nice. Again, this is a really big figure to like fit in frame, so I apologize. Like, this is very awkward for me to record or film, so just kind of bear with me. The spine here is detailed very nicely. All the creases and everything like that. There's a seam right here for some reason, but all things considered, the spine is still detailed very nicely. And of course the tail, we have some more musculature and detailing as well, and it just looks great. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the detailing on this figure. And the detailing on this figure, so I'm just trying to position it right. The detailing on this figure is very nice. Again, I think the scales in some spots are a little too big, but overall the detail on this figure is still very nice. So the detailing definitely gets a pass. So at the end of the day, should you get this? Honestly, I'd say yeah. For me, this figure was very hard to come by. In fact, I was very lucky to find this one at Walmart. So if you're unlucky like me, happy hunting. However, other people in the world, or in the country, I'm sure have like has better luck than this. They probably have like 3 Spinosaurs and 1 Target or something like that. So, if you're like that, then definitely get this figure, because not just because like it's the nicest Spinosaurus out of the 3 Mattel figures, which it is, but this is the only one that's like cheap, because like the Battle Damage one that came out in 2019 goes for too much money, like $100 now, and the original Legacy Collection one goes for like 140, 180. I've even seen 200. So yeah, if you can find this figure, at like Walmart, it's only $30. So like if you find it at like Walmart or Target or whatever, And if you want a Spinosaurus, definitely go for it, because this figure, it's far from perfect, but it's still not a bad figure by any means. It's just, flawed, but still nice. But the other options by Mattel, don't do it. It's not worth the money. So, yeah. Anyway, if you want to know how big it is, here it is, next to my, one of my previous reviews, the Extreme Battle Damage T-Rex. And I think they scale nicely together. About accurate. Of course the T-Rex in Jurassic Park 3, that one was a sub-adult, so of course, like in that movie, it was a lot smaller. But I feel like this size works. So there's that. Here is the Epic Roaring T-Rex, which I think works a little better, but the Extreme Battle Damage T-Rex still scales very nicely with this figure as well. The reason why this figure looks a little taller is because the way it stands. So maybe if it was just kind of like, actually, I take that back. I think, let me just have another look here. Yeah, I think the Extreme Battle Damage T-Rex looks a little nicer as far as scale goes. But that's just me. And lastly, of course, I don't have any other things to compare it with as far as size goes. So here it is with the Jurassic Park 3 the Jurassic Park 3 React Attack Aqua Spinosaurus. And this thing can't stand on its own, but this is the only other Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus figure I have. So, yeah. So there they are. You could say this is like a juvie or something like that. I don't know. So, yeah. And of course, I hate that so much. And of course, here it is with some hand sanitizer. And here it is with Dr. Billy Grant. And I do think that these two scale very nicely together. Looks really nice together, very nice scale. So, yeah. Anyway, that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, Zack out.